This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Preview podcast covering Kempton and Warwick, the Lanzarote and the Leamington Spa at Warwick. Some decent action there. And joining me this evening, we've wheeled out the big guns tonight. The top two at the Naps table are joining us this evening, which is a good thing because otherwise you've got me and John. It's Quentin Franks. Good evening, Quentin.
Good evening, Lee.
Yeah, lovely to have you on. And also Neville Ender. Good evening, Nev.
Good evening, Lee. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. And obviously joining me, as always, is my sidekick, John Lang, from John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. Cracking blog that, if ever you want to read it. Okay, onwards and upwards. We've got a busy show, 9 terrestrial TV races to potentially look at as well. We'll start the show off in the usual format, which is the best 3 bets for the Saturday racing, or weekend if anyone else has got something for Sunday or something stupid like that. Right, I'll come to you, Neville, first of all, for your third best bet, please, tomorrow.
Well, my third best was going to be my best, but as the price is shorter than I was hoping for, I'm going to make it my third best because there's no point having your maximum stake on a shorty. But
no,
Ferry House 308 is an 80-95, although the top one is rated 92, so in effect it's an 80-92. Bearing in mind that the ratings in Ireland are around between £5 and £7 lower than they are over here, this in effect is something like an 82 or a 75 to 87, something like that. So it's a really low grade affair. But one horse that's got enough potentially a real good mark is Brandy Harbour, who has shown dramatic improved form over fences recently, and has run to a rating of 104 in Ireland last time out. Travels strongly through its races, so I don't envisage being switched back to hurdles being a problem. On off, its Irish rating of 83, fully £21 lower than its chase mark. Brandy Harbour looks a banker. The problem we've got in Ireland is that some of these horses in big handicaps can start ridiculously short. And we've seen with Ronan McNally's horses of late, they're starting 4 to 6, 1 to 2 in huge fields. Although this one isn't trained by Ronan McNally, which is a good thing. It's trained by a lady called Grania O'Connor, who I know nothing about. But Brandy Harbour is an absolute snip off 83. And assuming it's no less than 6 to 4, it looks a certainty.
Yep, we're going to give you 6 to 4 as well. 6 to 4 is available with William Hill at the time of recording, and that'll be Neville's 1 point win on Brandy Harbour. Very well handicapped on the switch back to hurdles there for Neville in the 308 at Fairy House. Thank you for that, Nev. We shall move on to our next selection, which I'm coming to you, John, please, for your third best. Oh, you've been in tremendous form, so I'm expecting big things again from you this week. Blogger style last week with a treble. I'm expecting big things, John. Have you gone blogger or are you going big?
A little bit in the middle, really, to be honest. I'm compressing the action somewhat. I think there's about 12 minutes covering my 3 selections. So it'll be a nice quick death for anybody stupid enough to film. The first selection for the 1 point win is Party Fuzz in the 323 at Wetherby. Kim Bailey got 1 runner on the day. This is second run back from the wind up. I thought this showed enough last time to think the wind up's probably been a success. Now I should step forward for that run, and I think this is a nice race for him here.
So what time race was that again, John? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. There was a break.
323 at Wetherby. I don't have a track number for you.
The 323 at Wetherby. So you're with the Kim Bailey horse Party Fuzz?
Yeah, 1 point win.
So a 1 point win for David Bass and Kim Bailey there. Morozov Cocktail is favourite for that, 5-2 for Tim Easterby. But John's selection is available at 5-1 with Paddy Power and Betfair. 1 point on the nose for John. Thank you, John. Over to Quentin Franks for your third best, please, Quentin.
My third best bet comes in the mile fillies novice at Lingfield. What's that? 12.35. I have a small dart at Silver Vision. Then she felt she went with enough promise on debut to be kind of bet worthy here at 5-1, 9-2 region. She was unconsidered in the market, 80-1, ended up mid-div in a steadily run race, leaders quick and clear, and she kept plugging away after hanging right slightly. Not a bad looking filly, was carrying a chunk of condition on debut, so I'm expecting a fair side step forward fitness wise. Step Up in Trip will do her the world of good here. She's related to 8 furlong plus horses. Dan was a winner over 10 furlong. It's a downgrade in terms of quality, this race. She's taking on fillies only. And the race at Kempton looks to be okay. Winner's gone in again. 7th Home's gone in. The winner and the 8th have gone in, sorry. And Mismar, the 7th Home, stepped forward from his debut. I think she's a shade overpriced. I think she's 13-2 with one firm and 5s with Paddy Power. Anything above 9-2 would appeal as a bet.
What do you think to the favourite in that, Quentin? Is it the one of Bowie's, Party On Girl, I think, currently favourite? Do you
don't particularly like it, to be honest.
Okay.
Inside draw. But I think the boarding thing that was strong in the market underperformed, and she's done it for toe at Lingfield last time out. I'll probably be more worried about the William Knight thing, but box 10 round Lingfield. I know 7, you've got more time to get into a position, but yeah, not the one for me.
Right, interesting stuff. So Quentin going for a bit of value there with Silver Vision, citing a lot of improvement from debut. That's 13-2 for Quentin for his 1 point win. That's with Bet365 at the time of recording. So good luck to Quentin there with his third best. Good selection. Myself, I am going for 3.15 at Kempton for my 1 point win, and it's going to be on Strictly a Dancer. At around the 8-1, generally available. Looks like the second string booking for Christian Williams, in that it's the young conditional Ellis Collier, who certainly has set up a great partnership with Uno Maz, winning 5 times on that horse. Basically, that doesn't put me off the fact that he's second choice, because I didn't really like Kitty's Light last time out at Kempton. I felt he was off the bridle early, as if he was getting a bit moody. And I think there's a few sort of time form squiggles creeping in with some of these runners in this race. Caribbean Boy looks not in great nick at the moment. Smarty Wild found absolutely nothing last time off the bridle. Ludlow, very disappointing off the bridle. So I was really disappointed with that. Whereas Strictly a Dancer, obviously overfacing the Welsh national last time. Obviously no chance in that really, that sort of level. But when you look on the face value of it, the horse didn't jump well at Haydock, Strictly a Dancer. He sort of made work of the fences that day, which is a bit off-putting, but he still had enough in reserve to beat Empire Steel, who, if you remember in the Roland Merrick, was going very, very well when coming down in the Roland Merrick on the run-in. So it's the form is there really to say that Strictly a Dancer's still not handicaps out of things. He likes to be patiently ridden, which is a bit of a negative. So I'm hoping they go a good pace. But I still think he's the value in the race at around 8-1, and that's where my 1 point win selection will go. Okie dokie. Time for number 2 selection. John, coming to you first.
Yeah, you could call this a number 2, really, couldn't you? This one will appeal to Quentin very much, I think. This is in the 3:30 at Lingfield, and this is a horse called Mindspin.
Simcock hold up horse.
As you can imagine, this got Simcocked 3 times, getting a mark. But I think the interesting point with this is that something went wrong between run 2 and run 3. because he was off for ages. And then he was off for ages before he made his handicap debut. Totally unfancied, 204 days off. Pretty much sim-cocked again, really. And I think there was glimmers of enough to suggest this horse can compete off this sort of mark. Hopefully ridden a little bit more positively. I think this is definitely the trip. The owner has enough half-decent stuff in this yard. I mean, he averages 8 or 9 horses at any one time with Big Dave. So he needn't be pissing about with horses like this. 4-year-old, 3 runs, so that they've persevered. They must think there's some ability there. So I'm going to chance a point each way on our mate Simcock.
Interesting. So and it's a point each way for you for your second best, 28-1. Yeah. Pretty much generally available, John. Your old friend, really. You keep loving this punishment, don't you? Dished out by Mr. Simcock. You love it, don't you? You love that dropout ride. It's
a form of self-flagellation, I think.
You know, and you see the blue sectionals on ATR in the bottom corner, and you see, Haley wafting about at the back.
It's the equivalent of watching a porno.
Okay, so interesting comparison for John. So Mindspin is his second best bet there in the 3:30 at Lingfield. Each way a pleasure. I'll start with my second best and leave it to the two Naps Kings for their best. My second best goes in the 3 o'clock at Warwick, which is their a big staying handicap chase there, and I'm with a pretty obvious one really, but I like the 9-2 with William Hills about Jericho Rock. I'm sort of following this off a cliff really. I backed him at Wetherby over 2 miles 3. He was too slow for 2 miles 3, silly me. Then he got a dropout ride at Chepstow, and he only couldn't claw back Pat's Fancy, who went in again next time, absolutely bolted up next time actually. And then last time I fell for him again, and he jumped really well. Love his jumping really for a novice. And he just found again one too good who I think will go on to become a star, the one that beat him. I think it's really solid form. I think he's unlucky. He's run into 2 really good types. And I think Jericho Rock, because of his jumping the way Warwick's form with those fences in a line, if he jumps like he did at Newbury, that's really going to suit him the way the track's formed there, because he'll jump those for fun and get in a good rhythm. So impressed with him as a jumper. So Jericho Rock for me is my 2-point win bet at 9-2, and I do think if things go right in the race, he'll take all the beating. Right, Neville, on to you for your second best, please.
Yeah, I'll give it one moment. Excuse me. It's worth pointing out that there is an inspection, of course, at Warwick tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't know. No, it's all right. Good.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Is that presumably, obviously, Frost? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the main race of the day tomorrow is the Coral Silviniaco Conti chase, which has got a disappointing turnout of only 4 for a Grade 2 race, and the 4 horses that have been declared, at the best, they're very good, but at present, they all have questions to answer in one shape or form. If we start off with my selection, which is Defi de Searle, he has got something to prove, but there's no doubt about it. At the weights, he is head and shoulders above these. He gets £6 off of Eldorado, Alder and Mr. Fisher, and meets a very much doubtful stayer in Rouge Vif off level weights. Now, he goes into this race off a pretty disappointing effort at Ascot in the 1965 chase. He came home 4th of 6 to Lost in Translation. And before that, we're going back to 12 months ago, he finished 17 lengths behind First Flow. So he didn't come into this race in any form at all, but he has had wind surgery prior to his last run. So maybe he was thinking about it. Horses do tend to need at least 1 run, sometimes 2, to get their confidence back. So if we presume, and Philip Hobbs is not a trainer just to run his horses for the sake of it. In fact, I do remember him giving this horse virtually a full year's break just after his 4-year-old career or his 5-year-old career. So for me, at 4-1 or 9-2-ish against 3 rivals that all have questions to answer. Eldorado Allen is yet to win at this trip. Mr. Fisher never showed anything in the King George. Admittedly, that was over 3 miles, but as a horse who has shown his best form at 2.5, he ought to have been handier than he was, and he checked out a long way out. And as I said, Rouge Vif has never gone beyond 2 miles, so there's a huge question mark against him. I think he's the value definitely. So I'm not saying he should be favourite, but he certainly shouldn't be the outsider of the 4. He's my second best bet.
That's interesting. Interesting call. We've both got similar views on that. Though, like you say, you have to take a leap of faith with Defi de Sir. I mean, the old Defi de Sir would be 4-6 to win this contest. So, like you say, you're going for the value. I like the angle, Nev, and that's 9-2 available for Neville's selection. There in the Silviniaco Conti. That's with pretty much generally available. And who knows if Defi does. The wind up has worked, then second time off, it could be very interesting at 9-2. Thank you, Neville. Quentin, last but not least, your second best, please.
Yeah, just before I want to give something in John's race, I part-own Blue Beret in his race. She's going to come on for the run, and probably she does need a longer trip, and she'll come on for the run. So that's something that's a positive for him. Not that she's taken out a massive share of the market. So
yeah.
Will you make instructions for him to sit behind man spin, Quentin?
I'll pass that on, John.
Just to make me feel a bit better for the first quarter of an hour.
Thank you, Quentin. Great info there on your horse, and obviously look out for him later in the season. But so have you got an interest here, Quentin, against John in this, or is your second bet elsewhere?
No. My second best bet comes again in another novice race. This time at Chelmsford. It's the 16:45. I felt Autumn Festival would progress a fair bit from his debut. He debuted at Wolverhampton. He was green, slowly away and on the back foot. They went steady, lobbed around, 105% finishing speed, niggled along, but he kept on well enough in the closing stages under Hands and Hills ride. Given the greenness showed, I thought it would take a above average leap forward for the experience. Yard generally wouldn't have him gun ready for debut either, and the sire's not really one that produces first time out winners. They've put the favourite in here as Stylish Whisper. He's got 4 lengths to find on her. She seemed to know her job a bit more, knew the time of day, so I'd at least expect him to close that gap. She's also drawn wide. He's in stall 1 here. Sean Levy looks a fair booking, and he looks overpriced at 8-1 there. Very
interesting. I actually remember watching the race live, and like you say, he was fairly green. And the interesting thing for me, he was nibbled at on the exchange at prices Autumn Festival. He wasn't friendless. He's got ability. Yeah, as if there's certainly a certain level there. So yeah, interesting. So Quentin Franks, second best bet on the nose. Quentin, I presume, as always.
On the nose.
On the nose. And it's 2 points win Autumn Festival at 8-1 there in the 4:45. At Chelmsford, so good luck to Quentin with his second best. Neville, I'm going to come straight back to you, roaring back to you, Neville, for your best bet of Saturday.
The best bet is in the Kempton 132 race, and I'm going for Jeremy Scott's horse, Champagne Court, who comes here in good form. He won a hurdle race at Exeter last time out off 126. He's been raised accordingly. His hurdle mark to be exactly the same as his chase mark of 132. In fact, prior to winning at Exeter, he was third at Sandown in a decent handicap hurdle off the same mark. So they've kept him to hurdles. He runs off virtually, almost a stone, £13 lower than his best chase mark of 18 months ago. And it's not as if he's an old horse that's trying to regain his form. He's only a 9-year-old. He's only just turned 9 years old. And really, there's not a great deal of opposition. If you look through them, Nicky Henderson's top weight's out of form, Falco Blitz. Foxborough's form is nothing special at the foot of the handicap, and 2020 is another one that I discarded. Cap Toy comes here in good form, but he's shooting up the handicap. He now runs off 138, and he might want further than 2.5 round Kempton. So I'm gonna make in my nap selection Champagne Court, back over fences from an in-form yard. The stable were quiet to start with, but Jeremy Scott's horses all seem to be running well at the moment, and I think he should represent a bit of value. About 3-1, is he? 7-2ish.
He's 11-4, generally available now.
Okay,
so that's with all concerned. So we can push you up a bit, but we like to fiddle the odds here. 11-4 for Neville, generally available. A pleasure for 3 points. His best bet of Saturday. What I did like, Neville, about Champagne Court last time was the fact that I think he's getting a little bit wise now, and when he sort of gets there, he kind of knows he's got there now, and he's just holding a bit back for himself when he gets there.
That's no bad thing.
No, exactly. He's a clever horse that does that. He knows he's 9 years old now. Time to look after himself. So, it's one of them really that keeps ahead. Just keeps ahead of the handicap, and like you said, back to fences could exploit that in what is a very ex-Spurs kind of race. So a good nap from Neville there. Champagne Court, 132 Kempton. John Joe, I'm coming to you, please, for your best bet on Saturday.
Well, I got interrupted actually while I was casting round for my third best bet. And I couldn't for the life of me remember whether I had a shit this morning. And I got in touch with Sil Gray and asked her to conduct an investigation.
So, Sue.
And she'd maybe let me know what had actually happened pre-breakfast. And I was waiting on a phone call from her. And then I was watching breakfast news, and it was like wall to wall with dense posh boys talking absolute shit from 9. And then for some reason I felt strangely drawn to Hughie Morrison, who runs one in the 335 at Warwick. Now, I think it's an absolute disgrace that a Pertemps qualifier only gets a slack handful of runners like this one has. I remember this race. I mean, it used to have about 16 or 18 runners in it, and everybody was trying to finish 5th or 6th to get in the final off a nice mark. I was looking through these, and I think Hughie's probably the only trainer in the race stupid enough to try and win this. And go to the Fez £10 higher and think he's in with a winning chance. His horse in this is called Third Wind, and I'm more than happy to go 3 points win on this. It showed enough on the first run back. I thought, well, yeah, it'll be ready now. And yeah, I don't think this is a very competitive race. I mean, I can't see JP still being off. I think he wants a stronger pace than he'll get here. I think the race is there for the taking, and as I say, I think Yoey's probably the only one daft enough to be off.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fair point. I mean, I don't know what the kitchen fitters are going to do. Ronan with the jam man, but John likes Third Wind. Obviously, some very solid form. 9-2 available. He thinks Hugh is daft enough to try. So it's a 3 point on the nose bet from John for his best bet. Thank you. But my best bet of the week, 3-pointer, goes in the Lanzarote, which is the 240 at Kemp, their big handicap hurdle there. And it's a horse that I used to have an interest in, Green Book. He's a different horse now for Venetia. Very professional. I've liked him on the last few starts. I think he's getting better and better. And I cannot believe he's the price he is. I think he should be clear market leader. It is a good race. Gelino Bello's well in there. Up for parole, I do like as a horse. Marie's Rock won well last time. So obviously it's a very good race this year. It's probably better than some recent renewals that I can remember. But Green Book, I think he's a hurdler going places. The way that he managed to win over an inadequate 2 miles really for him at Haydock against a very well handicapped horse there that day. I think that's good form to do that. Obviously goes up in the weights, wins easily at Ludlow. There was absolutely oodles to come. And I like the fact they've gone back to Ned Fox. Good old Ned Fox. He claims 10. He's an excellent jockey. He rode a really good race on Gran Torino for Venetia recently at Warwick, and he's way above his £10. So you take that off, you're going down to 100. I'm not saying it's for nothing because he claims 10, but it's still making him off a real lightweight 10 stone 2. He's going to end up carrying in this race. Well, he's better than that. And I just think, you can go each way if you want, but I'm going to be on the nose at the 7-1 with Bet365. You'll probably get some really dashing each way terms in that if you want a penny pinch and get the 6th place. I think Sky Bet goes 7 places, things like that if you're really desperate. But no, I just think he's a very good horse. Obviously, there's a few that can win this, but he would be. I think he should be shorter than 7-1. I would have him clear market leader, certainly on my tissue. So Green Book is my best. Quentin, drum roll, your 3-pointer, please.
My 3-pointer comes, no surprise, on your weather. It's the 18:15 at Chelmsford. It's not a deep race for the grade. The favourite in there, Alman, was suited by. They went bananas in an apprentice contest. Christian Howarth held him up and picked up the pieces. He's not going to get that sort of setup today. I'm going with the second in, Jensen Benson. He ran over 12 furlongs last day at Kempton. It's above his pay grade. He needed a stronger gallop to aim at, didn't get it. Trivoli from that race has rattled off a hat-trick since. Form has a fair look to it. He caught the eye previously over 10 furlongs around here. Wider than ideal, he made up his ground and did really well to sustain his run all the way to the line. But he's 2 from 2 over course and distance, and I don't actually mind the wide draw here in 9. Thomas Greatrex will be wise to the fact that he needs a bit of roust along. We'll get him wound up early enough. He's got some really strong figures on the clock. I think he's really well handicapped and just a lot better than a 62 rated horse. But I can see him progressing well into the 70s. Nice bit of scope about him as well. I just hope there's an even tempo. There's not a massive pace on. But again, I think there's not a massive pace on, but it's not a deep race. So I'm hoping they go an even gallop and he can come wide and late and win going away for us.
Well, it's 7-2 available with Bet365, which Quentin's absolutely. If he could get on at that right now, he would be absolutely bouncing at that. I'm sure he would at 7-2 for his 3 points. But that's what we do for on the Barsters Naps table. So Jensen Benson there. Interesting, Quentin. The big class drop from the last 2 runs, like you say, class 4 Chelmsford over the 10 behind Hathlul, which obviously a very well handicapped horse for Appleby's, even though it got beat last night off a slowly run race. But Garcia, a very smart horse of Willie Haggis's, obviously couldn't beat him. But like you say, certainly back in class. That could be a very, very shrewd choice. So Quentin's nap there is Jensen Benson for Sean Lycett, 6:15 Chelmsford. Okay, chaps, thank you for your naps. Some real thought-provoking selections, and hopefully we will finish in the winners. On to tomorrow's racing. Neville, obviously, I didn't check this at my schoolboy error that there is an inspection at 8 a.m. At Warwick. Frost sheets to be deployed on takeoff and landing for the see if the meeting can go ahead. I hope they do. Well, ITV will, because there's 5 races there. So we shall go through Warwick just in case any of us like or dislike anything there. The 118 is the first on ITV4. Sky Pirate, Brave Seesker, Fast Book and not available. Any thoughts on this race, chaps?
I thought not available beat a fairly well treated horse in Gumball last time. Only went up for £8. I think Sky Pirate's probably high enough, and I'm not convinced Small Fields are his bag either. I think creeping into a race is Mari's thing. And I think Venetia's horse has gone up enough for the first crack at handicap, so ours would not available.
Yeah, I mean, Sky Pirate won this race last year. They went a decent enough pace for him, but he was very impressive. But like you say, John, he was off 145 when winning this last year, and now carries the big daddy weight of 157. But yeah, it's a tricky enough old race for me. Neville, Quentin, any thoughts on this?
Mine was similar to yours in regards to Sky Pirate. I think he needs a bigger field than this to be seeing the best effects. I can't see him going a mad gallop up front. I think he'll be, 3 to 1, 7 to 2. I think he's short enough at that. I'd have not available, like John, not available in second favourite. Venetia's is the right favourite for me. Yeah, that's how I'd have it. So maybe a small bit of value in not available.
Cool. Neville?
Yeah, well, the Venetia Williams favourite, Brave Siaska, is a very lightly raced horse for a 7-year-old. He's only had 7 runs in his entire life, and to reach a rating of what he has, 137, is some achievement already. When he won last time, he had Fast Book in third, who was 11.5 lengths behind him. Fast Book is £12 better off, which should be enough to reverse the form. But I've just got this feeling that Brave Siaska is possibly maybe a graded horse at some stage, and I think he will confirm the form with Fast Book. I do like Sky Pirate, but off 157, I also take on board that he does need a strongly run race. He might not get it. He's a horse that needs cover. I do like him, but I think he will if he gets beat, he won't get beat by very far because his form is so good. But at the prohibitive odds, Brave Siaska looks the probable winner for me, but I wouldn't want to be taking 11 to 8 or 5 to 4. If he drifted out and he was a 9 to 4 shot, it'd be different. But although I think he'll win, and I think he's potentially a very good horse, I think I'd sit it out at his present price.
Fair play. Thank you for that, Nev. We move on to the 150, which is the Hampton Novices Chase. Very, very strong favourite. Around the 8 to 13 mark, I believe, in 3 under through 5. I felt that he took half the birch with him at Doncaster. I'm not so sure he has much respect for some of his fences. I don't think he's as fluent as he could be. He's got a tremendous engine because to do what he did at Doncaster, and still win quite impressively, I thought was a noteworthy performance. However, Warwick's a different test because you've got the 4 fences, in quick succession. And it cannot, if you're not on the right stride here, it really is very difficult to get it back. So I'm certainly not going to play at the prices. I would prefer Softer Ground for Mint Condition, who is an absolute soup monster. The interesting one for me is the Tank. I used to call him Mossy Fen. Built like an absolute, he's the absolute embryo chaser. Went wrong for sort of Nigel Twiston Davis. Never had him right. Interesting stable switch to Christian Williams. I'm just interested to see how he goes on. I'm not saying he's a betting proposition, but certainly he should be better than he's shown so far over fences, given his stature. So it'd be nice if they sort of got him back to what I think his potential. So that's my view on the race. Any views here, chaps?
Well, I thought that 3 under through 5 was like you. I felt as if his fencing at Doncaster lacked fluency. But his form is rock solid. Fantastic Ass has come out and finished third to the Venetia Williams horse that won at Cheltenham last time. And he probably represents, he is short value, 4 to 6, 4 to 7, but he's probably the class horse in the race. And Paul Nicholls has a habit of mopping up this type of race and then going on to running well into something like the Royal Unson Alliance or something, or what used to be the Royal Unson Alliance Chase at Cheltenham. I think he's too good for these. He's got a £5 penalty, which I don't think will be a problem. But do you really want to get involved at such prohibitive odds? I don't, but I think he'll win.
No. Yeah, totally agree with you, Nev. There, Quentin, John, any extra to add on that?
I was with you. I don't think 3 under 3.5 jump well. I can see him end up on the deck, to be honest, down the back here. Why are they running Mossy Fen? Why are they running Mossy Fen here? Like you're off 137. You can find a nice handicap.
Yes.
Have they got him cherry ripe off 4 to 8 days off the track?
Well, it kind of makes me think it has to be a float up, possibly. But then is Warwick an ideal track for a horse that sort of had jumping problems? He wasn't fluent for Nigel Twiston-Davies. I'm quite shocked they brought him to this particular track, because surely I'd have probably taken him to Foss Lass, and it's a slowly run race. You've got time to measure your fences, get some confidence. I'd have probably gone that way, something like that. But anyway,
I thought the other interesting thing wasn't that when he was running for Twiston-Davies over fences, wasn't that when the yard was dead?
Yeah, the yard was completely out of form. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, I think he's of, what is he, 12, 16s? 12, 16, 16, 20s in a place.
Yeah, I mean, I follow Carl Inchy on Twitter, and he's quite amenable. I was going to ask him what he thought today, but, But yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the interesting horse, really, for punters to take a look at a price. But as I said, I'm not really advocating a bet. It's difficult without sort of any sort of info from Carl on his well-being and what the plan is. Because, like you say, 137, you could turn up in a handicap somewhere and possibly dot up if the horse is in good order and back sound and jumping well. So away it goes. 225 race. We'll move on then to the Ballymore Leamington. Very competitive race. This takes some solving. I feel. I've been very impressed with Surrey Quest for Nicky Henderson because this horse really has got a little bit of gear. In his races, 2 races so far, he's put the race to bed very easily, despite being very green. I think there could be a lot more to come, but I couldn't be confident because I think it's such a difficult race to solve. Neville, Quentin, John, anything in this?
Well, we're going round and round in circles in this race because I think it is impossible to be confident about anything.
Yeah.
Surrey Quest has won 2 races, but I'm not convinced he should be given a rating of 135. I think that it might flatter him a little. That I don't think he's earned that just yet. The 2 races that he's won have been nothing special, but Nicky Henderson knows exactly what it takes to win a Grade 2 race. So I certainly wouldn't dismiss his chance. But there are a couple here that were useful on the flat, and one that won at Hereford last time of Archie Watson's Staghorn was rated 108 on the flat at its peak. He won at Hereford. He made hard work of winning at Hereford, but it was his first time over hurdles. I could see him running well. I could see several running well. If I had to choose one, I'd go for Party Business because he would have been second in a Grade 1 last time had he not fallen, which is as strong a form as anything on offer. But really, whatever won, you wouldn't be surprised at. No.
Staghorn jumped fantastically early on at Hereford, and then
absolutely,
he hit one, and then the jumping went to bits a little bit. And I even said midway through the race last time, even though he wanted 2 mile on the flat, I thought he'd be okay over 2 mile over hurdles. The way but like you've seen, it's difficult because we've seen him once, and he might end up putting a flawless round of jumping in, and then he'd be a threat to all. How
many of these could run to 108 off the flat on the flat?
Well, that's it. None. And he could probably run to that sort of rating over 2 mile 2 on the flat. So basically, as long if he jumps like he did early on at Hereford, where he looks an absolute born natural. But then his confidence seemed to go as soon as he hit one, so that would be the only worry.
I think I've just got this feeling that he's probably going to need 3 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
But I do give him a chance. I give everything in the race a chance. But if I had to choose one, it would be Ian Williams' horse. I would like to see Charlie Todd claiming his £3. You're immediately at a £3 disadvantage when you put on a conditional jockey, aren't you, in these graded races? But it is impossible to say this will win or that will win, because they've all got a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Quentin, John, anything to add?
I like Stagon.
Yeah.
I thought the same as you. I thought jumping did fall apart a bit, but I think you give them the benefit, don't you, on the debut.
And at least the second's won since the beat, so
we're entitled to sort that out. I mean, I think we'll be all right tomorrow.
Okie dokie. We'll move on to the 3 o'clock at Warwick, which is the 3 mile 5 furlongs. I'll sit this one out because I've obviously tipped one in the race. You guys, what do you think to the 3 mile 5 handicap?
I thought there wasn't a massive pace on for a big field. Warwick, it's no bad thing being handy generally, is it? I thought, depending on the ground, it's obviously drying up. Well, not drying up at this time of year, but it's not getting any softer. I thought No Rematch was of interest. He shaped like needing it at Exeter. Did a lot in front, setting strong fractions, and then he was trading 11 to 10 in the run, then faded out of things. He's been dropped £1 for a run that shaped like all his ability remained intact, and I thought he was the interesting one, but the price seems to be falling apart as I speak. He's now 15 to 2 on the machine, and that's double figures would appeal on him.
Yeah, a lot of confidence in the market fairly as we record on No Rematch. So that's Quentin's interesting fancy. Presumably, Quentin, do you expect him to go forwards?
Yeah. There's not a lot of pace. He'll go forward.
Right.
I'd like to think so.
No, but Quentin would like a little bit bigger. Nev, any thoughts?
I quite like Paddle Your Own Canoe. They brought him back out at Haydock before Christmas over hurdles, and he ran really encouragingly to finish 5 3/4 lengths behind an informed horse of Richard Newland's. He runs off exactly the same mark of 135 now, back over fences. And I was just wondering, maybe, I'm not saying this is the reason they're putting back over hurdles, but perhaps they were just saving his handicap mark, not wanting to go up before this valuable race. It's not a classic renewal of this chase. It has been won in the past by some very good horses, but I think it's a diluted version this year, and there are question marks against several of them. Jerry's back's jumping and ability to stay this trip is questionable. Last year's winner, Not a Chance, comes into it on the back of some disappointing efforts subsequently. And if I had to put up a danger, maybe Achille of Venetia Williams has run 2 solid races since he reappeared, and Lucinda Russell's horse as well, Courage Rambler, looked really good when winning at Cheltenham, but has got a big weight. But I'm just going to take a chance on Paddle Your Own Canoe. I'm not saying he's the best jumper in the race, because he does make errors. He's a flatbred, and he's not bred for chasing. He's by Naif out of an eagle-eyed mare. So, but I've just got a feeling that they've got a lot of horses at Skelton's, and there must have been more than this fella to target this valuable chase at. So maybe a conspiracy rather than a form pick, but I'm going to go for Paddle Your Own Canoe.
Good stuff. I mean, Captain Chaos has been one of their standing dishes in this race.
Well, that was third, wasn't it, last year? Captain
Chaos. They seem to keep running that in this race. Captain Chaos. I think has he won it once? Has he won it? Captain Chaos? I'm not sure.
He may have won it maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I seem to be running well in it.
Yeah, he's ran well, or he's won it before. He's ran well quite a few times in it. But yeah, so Skelton's probably like to target this. So interesting there from you, Neville. John, you'll be hoping for a Venetia win.
Well, I don't know really. I mean, you won last week, and I was sat there at home with the phone in one hand and the Swarfager in the other, and she never even phoned up. So I'm at the point where I couldn't care less now whether she has a winner or not.
Fair enough.
I quite like Pipey's in this, but the juice has gone out the price, so I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I've put it up as one of my best bets, but obviously the 9 to 2. I do think there's a little bit left in it, but I'm actually I've bought the horse. I've literally just It's one of my favourites at the moment, so I'm possibly a little bit biased as well. Right, we'll move on to the final race at Warwick. John, you're out of this because you've tipped in it with your best bet third wind. I just felt the betting was probably right. Riggs is going to be trying because he's off 132, and obviously you're not guaranteed this year to get off 132 with the Irish probably having a stronger hand unlike last year when not as many as what could have travelled across. So Riggs, I thought was a right favourite. Neville, Quentin, thoughts on this? Tricky?
A case of what's off, isn't it? I looked at it, 7 runners, 6 qualify. Riggs needs to go up in the weights. It's not a betting heat for me.
Agreed. Neville?
What is all this not off business?
Pertemps qualifying it.
Ain't new to the game, Nev.
Yeah, that must be. Well, I did notice at the 5-day entry stage, the 6-day entry stage, that Gordon Elliott had something like 8 or 9 in, and I wonder if he had an inkling that maybe this meeting could be abandoned, because I don't know if the conditions of the race have changed, but it used to be that if the meeting got abandoned, if you were entered, you automatically qualified for the final. And he's just left one in, Sire de Belay, who's got a big task of 158, and he pulled up last time out in Ireland. Sporting John is totally unpredictable, but he's a good horse at his best. I thought Third Wind had a reasonable chance. Who knows with the Jam Man? God knows what they're doing with their horses, but I came down on Riggs because I thought, although he's been raised a few pounds for his good second last time out, like you said, he's gonna need to win impressively to get his mark up to qualify, because there's going to be a maximum field of whatever it is, 30 is it in the Pertemps. I can't believe that only 7 have declared for a race like this. It's pathetic, really.
Strange.
Was Gordon just putting them in just to see what mark they'd have from the handicapper? With a view to the future?
I have no idea. I wouldn't know that. I would have thought he would know the marks for but
off the English handicapper.
Well, it's generally £5 into. You stick £5 on an Irish rating to get the English mark. I don't know. Did he have some novices in there? I didn't see his entries. So if he had some novices in there and he wanted to know what marks they were going to get, perhaps. But this is just. Going back 10 years or further back, this would have been a 16, 17 runner race, and I know that maybe the first 4 or 5 would have been doing the best and everything else would have been looked after, but maybe, the handicapper's not stupid. If they see one that maybe was given a tenderish ride, they're not going to drop it, are they?
No. Yeah, it's tricky. So we'll move on to Kempton. Neville, you're sitting this one out in the 132, the first televised race there. Obviously, Champagne Court. I agree with Neville, so I don't need to waffle. So Quentin, John, on this?
I agree.
I agree with Neville, really. I just thought Fanzio had been knocking on the door. That might be the danger, but I like Neville. Yeah. Quentin?
Make it 4.
You should give it the old klaxon, really. 4 pundits. Four pundits agreed. In fact, no, I can't do it. 11 to 4 is too short for a Bar Steward special. So, but 4 pundits agreed is quite good, I think.
Let's hope it's off.
Is it off? Is it off? Yeah. This is turning into the Is It Off podcast. Right, we go on to the 205. Silviniaco Conti chase. Again, Neville's got to sit this one out because he's tipped in this. But I'm going to sit this one out because I agree with Neville. I totally agree with Neville's synopsis. I think the thing for me, Rouge Vif surely cannot stay 2.5. Mm-hmm. It is an extended 2.5, and it'll be soft tomorrow. It'll be tacky ground. I can't have Rouge Vif getting home. Chaps, Quentin, John, what do you think?
Well, what a turnout for the money, really. This could only be more of an anticlimax if they got Pretty Patel to give the trophy at the end of it. Yeah. I don't know. Mr. Fisher couldn't cut it Boxing Day, but it wasn't expected to. I thought Deputy Dassault looked deader than Dillinger on debut. For me, I'll be sticking a bit of pate on it and letting the dog in for 5 minutes.
What an image, Quentin. Yeah.
Yes, we were all with Deffy when he reappeared at Ascot, but he did look dead inside, didn't he? He kind of travelled and he's just shut out. Rougeviff, I agree with you, Lee, won't stay. Mr. Fisher is what he is. Was there anything from the Tizard snout on
Nothing.
Eldorado? Nothing?
Nothing.
I
Nothing.
think he's got an eating disorder. He hasn't been on all week.
I think I'll join John with a bit of pate on toast and letting the dog in.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. We're all sitting this one out, chaps. Sorry about that. Apart from Nev, of course. That's, to be fair to Nev, he's braved it because of the prices, and that's why I agree with Nev. I think if someone said you've got to put £1 on the race, or you go with that at the prices. I'll sit the Lanzarote out because obviously I'm with Green Book. Chaps, your views on the Lanzarote, please.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got my Schwarzenegger at the ready.
Big day for Venetia. Nev, Quentin.
When you mentioned Green Book, I thought you'd come down on the right one. He seems to have improved greatly from last season to this season. He looked a little bit one-paced last term, but this season he's done absolutely nothing wrong. His form of his last win at Ludlow has worked out really well. The third horse, Jaunty Viking, has franked the form, as has the sixth horse, Inish Biggle, and the 10th horse, Morgan Stern, has been a good second at Weatherby since. I do like the fact that she's put and retained Ned Fox, who can claim 10. I think this might be his last chance to ride a winner with a £10 claim, because you're allowed 3, aren't you, Lee? I think it's 3 winners. If you ride for your own stable, you can claim 10.
Yeah.
And he's got a featherweight of 10 stone 2. I think the triple suit him. He loves the ground, but it's a minefield, really. There's lots of horses there you can give a chance to, but I think if I had to come down on one, it would be Green Book.
Yeah, I love his professionalism, because when we ran him in France, he was hanging all the time. If anyone wants to watch on France Gallop, he was hanging on the bends. He was very tricky. But Venetia, whatever she does, John Lang, she obviously gets the best out of him.
She hasn't done John Lang yet. So.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the horse. I love his professionalism at the moment. I mean, he wasn't like that, when we owned him, and he's just matured. Obviously, his head's down. He tries, and what more do you want? Because he's definitely better than 130. So yeah, Quentin, thoughts?
I thought Harry Skelton, Dan Skelton trained Chisabello was the one of interest here for a small win only dart. He's kind of been given 2 quite not off rides, but just quite rides. His last 2 starts outpaced and kept on last time out. Looks to be a stack of pace on, and I thought the handicap was generous enough last time in dropping him £2. Yeah, I thought he was worth a small win only dart at double figures if that's still around.
Good stuff, Quentin. I'm just checking prices now for you on that as a record. I think it's been quite well backed at 9-1 available if you fancy Quentin's selection there, Chitty Bello. And we move on to our final race of the pod, which is the 3:15. I have tips in it, so I'll sit this one out with Strictly a Dancer. So I'll leave you 3 to chew this one over. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll jump in first. It'll give Nev a chance to rip the piss out of me, because I'm giving another chance to Toy Phil. I thought was ridden last time with a view to the next day, really.
Yeah, he wasn't put in the race, was he? No.
I thought he kept on okay in the far distance as all coming up the hill, and I think going back over Thrail South, I think he's worth one more chance.
Okay, so you feel about 15-2, John. So John's a bit money for him overnight. So maybe it was
pod, hasn't he? So
yeah,
he actually he did run better than his chance I think, at Cheltenham last time. It's just a more suitable trip for him, and he's been dropped £6, so it wouldn't be impossible for him to be more competitive. I looked through each and every horse and tried to make a case for them, and one horse that I came down on was a horse that I didn't initially fancy when I first looked at the race, and that's Kitty's Light, who has looked an out-and-out stayer, but has been given a little bit of respite from the handicap, down to 143 from 147 of last time, and that was at Kempton behind a promising horse called 5 Star Getaway. There's so many question marks against the rest of the field. Caribbean Boy seems to have lost his way. McTotty's forms around the big fences at Aintree. Double Shuffle never wins now. Smarty Wild was one that I thought had a chance, but he's not certain to stay this trip. And he didn't find anything off the bridle at Ludlow. This will be more of a test. He has won over 2.5 round at Kempton, but although he probably is, for me, the biggest danger, I don't think he'll stay. And Strictly a Dancer, it is the odd second string, and maybe those hard-ish races have taken the toll. I know he pulled up in a much better race than this in the Welsh National, but the ground were very bad that day, and although he's had 42 days off, it might take some coming back after running in that race at Chepstow at Christmas. I'm going to go for Kitty's Light, but I'm not overly excited by the race. No.
And anybody else on this, please?
I was with you, Lee, with Strictly a Dancer. I felt he had more in hand at Haydock. He idled up the running. He wasn't as impressive as he had been previously at Cheltenham. I think he was just feeling it. Three runs in 3 weeks, 3 winning runs, and ended up pulling up at Sandown. Cheek pieces off, good booking. But I don't mind him at the price. I wouldn't say he's necessarily the second string there. Second string on booking. No. So.
Yeah, sorry, I said the Welsh National, didn't I? But it was at Sandown, wasn't it? Behind Highland Hunter. But
no, it was Welsh National.
No, London National.
London
National.
Yeah, but it was still a grueling slog. But would you have thought Christian Williams would, if he really fancied it, he'd have put the £7 claimer on the higher weighted horse to get Kitty's Lights weight down and kept Jack Tudor on Strictly? I don't know. You can read too much into it, but
possibly. I mean. I just didn't like Kitty's Light in the early stages last time because Kitty's Light was sort of ridden along early, like very early on. As in, you shouldn't be off the bridle at that point. Yeah. It's
that's his style, though, isn't it?
It is. It is, but I just thought it was. I didn't think there was any reason at that point to be, to be chivied along. But it just that's what I noticed. But I could be wrong on that. It's a tricky old race because, as I said, there's nothing really that's in. Everything's not. You're having to like hope. Like a Toy Phil was sort of out the back at Cheltenham. Kitty's Light, probably not on top form. Smarty Wild found nothing. Caribbean Boy doesn't look in much form, and that's favourite. And then your Double Shuffle's 47 years old. Like you said about Mike Totty, Nev. It's one of them. I think it's one of them. You wouldn't be surprised what wins really, but there we go. Right. Thanks for all your thoughts, guys, and your naps, and I hope we can make it a profitable weekend for all. We've certainly got more to come on Sunday. There's myself, John Leng, who's got a 33-1 political bet on Sunday for you on the sermon, and he's adamant this is absolutely banging value. So you don't want to miss the show Sunday. We're going to have some crack.
It's absolute gold dust.
There we go. You've heard it here first. And that will be released on the Sunday sermon. There'll be myself, John, and Lorne Malvo, so don't forget to join us on Sunday. Thank you to Neville Ender tonight, Quentin Franks, John Leng, and myself, Lee Keys. That's all from us. Bye for now.